You're listening to Errol Parker and Clancy Overall, editors of the Batuta Advocate, on Desert Rock FM. Welcome back to the Batuta Advocate radio show, recording live here in the Budgie Smuggler Studios in downtown Batuta. We've obviously just finished up the biggest weekend of sport in the calendar year for 2020, the AFL Grand Final over in Brisbane, actually, in the Gabba, as I'm sure you all know. It's the first time it hasn't been in Melbourne over the weekend, and of course the NRL Grand Final down there in Sydney. And we're heading straight into the Spring Carnival, and cricket will be back soon. So we were going to interview an NRL star this week, but obviously all the talent that we wanted to talk to are still in the bubble because Origin is yet to take place, so these players will remain in quarantine until that is all over. We've got a lot coming up in the way of sports, so for a breather, now that everyone's still coming down from the Grand Final weekend, we thought we'd delve into the world of film this week. And today's guests, we've smuggled them across the border. We have two of the biggest movie nerds in Australia joining us today. And joining us, of course, as usual, is Errol Parker, editor-at-large of the Batuta Advocate. How are you, Errol?
Good, mate. That was a great opening monologue.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Mate, isn't it wild how I tied it all together? Like, no, we didn't interview Cam Smith this week, but we do have Cam and Alexei.
And I just want to say, the NRL boys, they're in a bubble. Podcasters, we're also in our own bubble.
Yeah.
So that's why we're allowed to talk to each other.
So are comedians. They're in their own echo chamber, I guess you could say. And they're not really in touch with the average Australian.
I mean, all us comics, like us guys, Louis C.K., Chris D'Elia and stuff, we're all quite tight. And we have each other's backs no matter what.
We'll support anyone, dude. I'm a big Kevin Pollak fan, and he hasn't done anything wrong, so I'm very lucky.
Yeah, because there's that comedian now who's under fire, that Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, well, yeah.
We still claim him as a comedian.
We still claim him as a comedian, even though he technically has never done stand-up.
And he's technically a movie star these days as well.
Yeah. But we have his back. He is pro-Hillsong. He is anti-gay marriage, which we don't agree with, but we always will stand with Chris.
And he used to be fat, dude, so the fatties will always have your back,
Anyone who has ever been fat is technically a comedian.
Cam, were you rather buxom as a teenager? Is that what we're...
No, but I wish. I mean, I'm going.
So you identify as once fat.
Yeah. And I'm planning on getting really fat in my next, probably in the next half hour.
Your next phase.
Yeah, my next phase. Thanks for letting us in the podcast bubble, gentlemen, and for having us in Batuta. We love it here. It's beautiful
sun-drenched town.
Yeah.
Yes. How did you get over the border? Because
that's a long
story, but we will tell you it was a lot of smuggling. I was held within a beautiful sack that Cameron held on his back.
Yeah. A bindle. You know when you tie a sack to a stick and you hold that over your shoulder? I did that and I just posed as like a passing jolly swagman.
And a very reinforced stick.
A man of the interior.
They went up through in Tenterfield, so all you had to do was prove that you'd lived in the northwest of New South Wales for 4 weeks and you were able to get to Queensland.
Yeah. And we're here and we're never going back. We're done with New South Wales. Yeah, we're done with that place.
Can you tell us...
Wagwan, boys.
Wagwan. Can you tell us a little bit about, the success you two have found in the podcasting game? Because in the last 4 or 5 years, this medium has taken off, including, in our town. Obviously, we've got a couple podcasts coming out of here a week. Multiple. And a daily bulletin.
Podcast capital of Australia.
Yeah, weekly bulletin. Yeah, absolutely. And people like you come to visit us here. But you guys found success. I think that might come from the fact that you were actually stand-up comedians before you got into podcasting, which is rare for two white men getting into podcasting. You'd cut your teeth elsewhere in entertainment.
We were also the first people to start a movie podcast
ever. We do believe that's true. People had spoken about movies in broadcast before. You've probably heard of, what are they called again, those two? That older couple. Margaret and David. That beautiful couple.
Yeah, I think they had a little bit of a rocky patch at the moment, but, we're really rooting for them.
We're pulling through for those guys. Yeah. So people have talked about movies in private conversation on television, even on the radio with that movie guy, Mark Fennell. but never on podcasts.
Never on the freaking internet before. So we were really like groundbreakers in that genre.
Yeah.
Not just because of my size, where I usually do break ground. If I'm falling out of something, the ground will break.
All my
beneath me.
insistence on carrying a very beautiful silver shovel to construction sites and doing the groundbreaking myself.
Yeah.
But we broke that freaking ground, you know? We broke that glass floor that we call as white male podcasters and started a movie podcast.
But you guys are no slouch in the podcast game as well. You've got good numbers. I've had a look at the stats, and you're getting good downloads.
We move.
Yeah,
we move weight.
You move units.
You push those units out
I don't
there.
think that downloads is a good yardstick by which to measure a podcast.
Okay.
I do streams only. I don't check the downloads, just go what people are streaming.
Yeah. I guess a good yardstick is how many times it is recommended to you.
Oh, yeah.
Because a niche podcast can be very popular.
Yeah.
You know it. Oh, that's what we've built our whole thing on.
Yeah,
really.
niche. We
Word of
love that
mouth.
niche.
So speaking of niche, we'll start with Drago, and then we'll get into your newest work of art.
Sensible.
Tell us the story of Drago for those who haven't listened to it.
Well, Finding Drago began as literally a real discovery when we were doing our movie podcast. We were reviewing Rocky IV for some unknown reason.
Yeah, who knows why.
And while doing that research, I found this one sentence on Wikipedia about Ivan Drago that was of the further exploits of Ivan Drago were explored in Todd Noy's final great last masterpiece novel, Drago on Mountains We Stand. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit?
novel? There's a novel about Ivan Drago.
And it's written by this guy, Todd Noy, who's supposedly this genius. And I started falling down this rabbit hole and finding out that Todd Noy was this ex-sports journalist from Perth, Western Australia, who would cover boxing and VFL and stuff. I'm like, this is insane. How's this guy Australian? And then
he'd also won a Pulitzer Prize.
yeah, he
for
won
sports
the
journalism.
Pulitzer, and we were so proud of him, us Aussies, for winning that prize.
Well, you discovered him on a Wikipedia entry. So.
Yeah. And then
For a fictional character from the 80s.
and then it kind of got to this point where I got the book, and the book talked about in the about the author section that he had possibly died. He'd gone missing. He had all these struggles with drugs and alcohol.
Ivan
and been
Drago.
missing.
No, Todd Noy, the author.
Right.
The author.
The famous Perth author.
Yeah, that we all know about.
Yeah, and he and so oh god, he's dead. And then I opened the book and it was signed by him. And I'm like, holy shit! And just led us to trying to find out who this guy was.
Yeah, so Finding Drago ended up becoming a 6-part series that ABC produced for us, which is our attempt at a true crime story.
Yeah.
I find true crime too bloody, too scary.
Too freaking scary.
Too freaky deaky.
I'm a puss cat. I'm scared.
So we did our own version of true crime, which was that we just tried to find this mysterious author, Todd Noy. And, there's no blood or guts in it. So if you're turned off by that shit, you can fucking just breeze through Finding Drago.
Yeah.
Just some effing and jeffing. If you've got a problem with that, you can eff and jeff my own dingus.
Whoa! Whoa!
We're dealing with stand-ups here.
Holy
These
shit.
guys.
We're raw and
I'll have
unfiltered.
to go
Sorry,
on-
guys.
All right, so that's
Mark the time code there.
Yeah, 10.
10 minutes. Gonna cut that out.
I'll cut that out.
But we are riffing too. So
Yeah,
it's a good
yeah.
rapport in this room.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
You guys aren't stand-ups, but you guys are pretty good at riffing.
Yeah, I guess that's what happens when you record 358 podcasts a year.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You don't get a day off?
No.
Straight up.
Only a leap year.
That's
No, we did.
exciting.
No, we took one off for Quinn's birthday. That was.
Oh, you
that
have
was
to.
rare.
God save
Yeah.
her.
Gotta say
You have
that.
to do it.
Yeah, every year I try and take a day off to try and kill her.
For us
No,
stand-ups,
no,
the queen is Sarah Silverman, so we
That's
take a day off
true.
on her birthday.
That's true. Or Queen Latifah.
Yeah, true.
I think that's really disrespectful what you just said. And if you could mark the time code, which I think is about 10 minutes 40, let's
10:40.
cut that out
Okay.
too, because that's really rude. As a monarchist,
You don't like the idea of the Queen's death day?
I mean, the only reason that I would ever get excited about, the Queen passing is
Yeah.
just I'd finally get to see Charlie become king,
Yeah.
which
And
is
you've
exciting.
always wanted to see a flag at half-mast.
Yeah.
You've never had that chance. You're like, God, that'll be the day.
Yeah. The only time I'm at half-mast is, insert the rest there, fellas.
He's in the bedroom, and it's a tremendous problem for me.
Yeah.
I have to thumb it in half the time.
Like Play-Doh. Anyway.
Anyway, we're ruining the sanctity of this amazing
Yeah.
institution of you guys.
So you went down a rabbit hole. There was a lot of you just went on a journey finding this author who won a Pulitzer Prize from Perth, as you described, Perth, Western Australia. For those who didn't know where Perth was,
Yeah, not Perth in Scotland.
Yeah, well, too often get confused.
and and we obviously won't spoil that for those who want to listen to this effing and jeffing light true crime, but that was met with such great success. This podcast, probably a lot of people the gateway for a lot of people was through boxing. Probably
I think
thought
so.
they were going to be getting some real Rocky going on here.
Rocky fans came on board early.
Yeah.
And then we're sort of surprised by what it was. And then Ben Damon, the boxing promoter out here, he shared it.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of boxing fans on board who came on. So that was a fun little side product of this.
And it was kind of nice because, like, you know, we're not sportos. I'll be honest. I'm not a sporto. I don't know if you could tell by me saying dingus earlier today.
or saying Sporto.
Yeah.
We're not sportos.
Yeah.
But I've never actually watched a full episode of sport in my life. I heard it's good.
Fuck you.
But like, I think because of like the connection to Rocky, like all these people, like they love that movie. But I think they have like this kind of emotional connection to the movie because it is like this really sensitive portrayal of like this, you know, a guy who is like pretty stupid and like about like him trying to like find his way in the world. So I think they like came to the podcast like this already like an emotional connection. So they were like they were very sweet to us, all like the Rocky fans, very sweet.
Oh, Rocky's eye of the tiger. The nostalgia behind that film, particularly for Italian Americans who were like, they didn't really have the hero until Stallone came along.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
They had maybe the Raging Bull, but then there was Stallone, and Stallone, you know, Eddie Murphy does a great bit about how he changed their entire psyche. The
Oh,
Italian.
Yeah,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
for years and years, you know, they just, had the Corleones
Yeah.
That's right.
to look up to.
And they weren't heroes. They were.
No.
They were. Yeah.
Whoa,
They were
Yeah.
that was
criminals.
good. Do that again.
Thank you.
Oh, we got a regular Kevin Polk over here.
Vito. My name's Vito.
He needs to
Famous
say
line.
his own name over
Famous
and over.
line from The Godfather.
My son,
What's his son's
Vito.
name?
Michael.
There we
Yes.
go.
Little
Oh,
Michael.
well, you're dealing with film
He can
buffs.
sing.
Do not. If you slip, that will pound you. For this. They're not sportos. They're filmos. Hey,
We are filmers. Thank
so
you.
filmos.
Yeah, we're not spoilers, we're filmos.
So Alexei, as inversely, obviously you weren't a sporto. You weren't a Rocky guy. As a young,
I was a Rocky guy, big time.
yeah, is that like I was going to ask, who was your answer as a young Greek Australian to Stallone growing up? Was it Giannopoulos?
It was absolutely Giannopoulos. I idolized Giannopoulos. I used to dance like him at my school discos. I would slide across the floor and I would thrust my hands against my pelvis that was yet to develop. But he was my king of Mykonos. I loved him.
Yeah.
Really, not Colosimo.
Colosimo is awesome, yeah. All of them.
But
Colosimo,
Cosimo's
Pia
Italian.
Miranda.
You know, you get
Oh,
the.
yeah, true.
You know, there's some crossover.
Yeah.
They have a saying in
Yeah.
Italian, uno fazzo, uno razzo, which means same face, same race.
Yeah.
About
Well,
Greeks and Italians.
And also, let's not forget Cubans in Scarface.
Yeah.
So,
You're allowed to do anything if you're Greek or
Because
Italian.
Pacino played it,
Yeah.
you're allowed to claim it.
Yeah, exactly.
and then who was the one that played the grandson in Godfather 3 who was a Cuban
Ooh,
playing?
Andy Garcia.
Oh,
Andy
Garcia,
Garcia
yeah.
They
played-
flipped the freaking script. Beautiful detail.
Yeah, that's nice. That's
Hmm.
good. I'm trying to think of who the white version of that is for me. Just pretty much any comedian, I guess.
Can play
Carl
any,
Barron.
can play any bald man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can do anything. He can play Carl. He can play Manny Lewis. He can do it all.
So
Yeah.
we're getting towards, we're getting real nerdy on the film stuff now.
Hmm.
Would you find that Rocky fans, some of who you inherited with your podcast about the guy who wrote about a character in Rocky, would you say they're not film fans per se? Mostly Rocky's base.
Yeah.
That's interesting, man.
Yeah, I think they fly the gamut of all of Stallone's filmography.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also, someone pointed this out to me recently that Rocky is like the longest running character played by the same actor for when was the first one?
76.
76, and
4
he's still
decades.
playing the character in Creed
Yeah.
2 like
Yeah.
2 years ago or something. So by merit of being a Rocky fan, you become a film fan because you watch 40, 50 years of cinema, basically. So look, the Rocky fans, they start out as pretty base, but then they have this whole history of like knowing about 70s cinema and 80s cinema and all that shit.
Not to mention
how
they
it develops.
They know about the intricacies of the Middle East through Rambo.
Yes.
They know, all Rocky fans and Stallone fans know that once upon a time, the Afghanis were our allies against the Red.
That's true.
Yeah.
First Blood 2, I think it was, maybe 3.
I think it's 3. And it even like ends with like, this movie's dedicated to the brave warriors of the Taliban. It's like the coda to that movie. It's so bizarre. It's so weird.
We taught them how to shoot down Russian helicopters, and they did. A lot.
And they, of course, also know about Russian film montage because of Rocky 4, which is the most Eisenstein movie that's ever been made. And that's why Sly is a real filmmaker.
So the Russian, like, that came from Russia? That
Yeah, the idea of editing.
The idea of a montage.
Yeah, editing and montage comes from Russian filmmaking, and Sly, I believe, truly channels it in Rocky 4.
Yeah, there's, I think, 5 montages in Rocky 4.
There's about 40 minutes of non-montage footage in a 90-minute movie. And then there's 10 minutes of Rocky 3 as well at the start, so it's
let's
barely a film.
also not forget that there is a 7-minute James Brown song played in full.
Played in full James Brown concert.
Living in America.
Yeah, and boy, aren't we glad that we are not.
Yeah, because there's a lot of crazy stuff
Yeah,
going
a lot
on.
of crazy comedians over there.
Yeah.
Just quickly, that is one of the most famous film montages of all time, is Ivan.
The training montage.
Yeah.
Contrasting both of their styles of training. So
Because Ivan was like a lab rat Russian Soviet.
He's punching robots and stuff, and then it cuts to Rocky in the snow dragging logs and
pulling a train across.
Yeah, fighting a horse and stuff like that. It's very that's one of the best montages of all time.
It's incredible.
Also really interesting that they could paint Rocky as the working man underclass compared to the Soviet rich boy.
Yeah,
exactly.
Very bizarre. Also, but you don't look at Rocky 4 for historical accuracy because the film ends with, from my memory, I've seen it a few times and not for a little while, Rocky basically ending the Cold War, right? Yeah.
I mean, that's, I believe, how it does happen. But in a meta way, that film coming out did end the Cold War.
Really?
Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah.
I've never really looked
I'd
into
say
it,
so.
but I believe it in my heart.
Yeah, it was either that or Goldeneye.
Oh, yeah, true.
Jaws.
So, God, I love those movies, dude.
Oh, wow, I could do that too.
The impersonation guy.
King of impression.
You finished that. It's on rave reviews for this podcast, Finding Drago. As we said, once a lot of people got involved in it, they realised it was something completely different to what I guess most of them stumbled across, or
People
when they
got
first
involved
saw.
in the mystery. People online started trying to solve the mystery with us week to week, which was pretty fun.
Cameron would get DMs from people going like, Alexei's a freaking idiot. He didn't notice this clue that he said 5 episodes and stuff. And I'd be like, you know who left that clue in the episode and stuff?
Freaking idiot.
Yeah, like we helped edit this fucking thing.
we made
Goddamn
it.
fool.
Yeah, we made it. We know all the clues. Yeah, that was interesting. And we're kind of hoping people do that again this time around.
Yeah.
It's unavoidable when you put something out online that people will go way deeper than you expect them to.
Yeah.
So tell us the premise of this one.
Right. So, we like to pick, if we're making a true crime podcast, like I mentioned, we like to pick very inconsequential, low stakes crimes.
Yeah.
And the current crime that we discovered is a man from the 1990s who we believe faked a Guinness World Record. He faked... I don't want to say what it is because I don't want people to look it up yet, but he has a record in the Guinness Book of Records that he had for about 30 years, I think.
20 or 30 years.
And we believe strongly that it is illegitimate, that it is fraudulent, and that he did it to get acclaim and fame and to get in the glorious book that is Guinness World Records.
How easy would this record be to get?
The thing is...
Well, like, how niche is it?
Back in the day, I reckon you could just get in the Guinness Book of Records
Yeah.
if you just said you'd done something.
Yeah.
Now it's a lot more strict, and I think for the worse, because now they're a fucking... Look, I don't want to talk too much shit about Guinness. They make a wonderful product in their drink, and the book shifts units. It shifts almost as many units as you guys get downloads.
Yeah. They're the Christmas stocking filler book of the Tutor Advocate podcast. Yeah.
Exactly, but they
that was its peak as well. So like the 90s, Guinness Book of Records was lit. And,
it was awesome.
Moving into probably early 2000s, and they started having those really, really flashy covers.
Those holographic
That's exactly
covers.
our era, flashy cover era.
Yeah.
This
the green
podcast is based on the golden 25th anniversary edition from 2005. Or 50th anniversary.
50th anniversary, 2005. And that was exactly what you're talking about. Holographic.
Lenticular, if you will.
Lenticular,
3D
golden
imagery.
cover.
And so they got to a point where it became so red hot and it became such a coveted Christmas item that Guinness would have to send adjudicators to the breaking of world records.
Yes.
Or would have to have them clarified through different sources. I remember it because B105 in Brisbane, Hot Hits radio format in Brisbane, once had the longest nipple hair.
Wow.
That they were someone claimed to have that, and they were going to break the record.
Who had that? Bernard Fanning or something?
No, it was a guy in the street, but they brought Stefan.
Oh, the street.
Yeah.
They just found him by chance. Wow.
At an OB, outdoor broadcast. He came up.
Did
and
they
said,
see the hair dangling and they go, that's got to be from his nip?
I think he came up and showed them.
Whoa.
Fucking
Whoever
hell.
it was, maybe it was Triple M. Either way, they brought Stefan, the iconic Brisbane hairdresser.
Stefan's Needle.
Yeah, Stefan's
Wow.
Needle.
Yeah.
Napoleon Hair Products. He had to shampoo
metaphor.
the nipple hair
Wow.
before it was officially measured by someone from Ireland that they sent over.
Yeah, that's the thing,
Guinness-
man. At a
the
certain
Guinness
point,
World Record.
Guinness became, I think, a bit of a racket.
Yeah.
Where they had like a little staff and they were like, you know what? Let's make people pay to fly our staff around the world to verify these world records. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
The Guinness Book of Records started as pub trivia. That's where it began. It just started with like a couple of guys in Ireland being
They're
like,
going, do you know who has the longest nipple hair? This guy
there's this dude in Brisbane, we think. Let's write that down, put that in the
Craig.
book.
Put that in the book. Craig's got the world's longest nipple hair. But
And
it's
it was
like...
all unverified shit. And
Yeah.
then only in like the late 90s, 2000s, they started becoming, we're an actual world authority.
We have to research this. We have to lock them in. And we actually, during the making of this podcast, we did try to set our own record.
Yeah, we wanted to get in the Guinness Book of Records. We thought that would be a fun little project for us on the side. And it costs so much. It costs to apply. Just to apply.
How much?
It was like $200 to apply, and then they said, but we strongly recommend your fast tracking, which is $2,000.
Yeah, the 2,000.
track the record.
So you can apply for 200, but it will take like nearly half a year for them to get back to you. Or
To even
fast
read
track.
the email.
Yeah, fast track, they get back to you within a week. $2,000 for that.
And the ABC flatly said no.
Yeah.
We asked for extra funding to pay for a fast tracking of a Guinness World Record for, I don't know, I think we were applying for world's youngest podcaster or something.
Yeah. And then what else is there? There's to send an adjudicator. It's like $10,000 and you have to put them up. And then after all of that, they can still say, no, you didn't get the world record.
Yeah.
So you've just spent like nearly 15 grand or whatever flying some guy out from Ireland, and then he goes, nah, but thanks for the holiday.
No, I've even got longer nipple hairs than you, mate, so you didn't make it.
And
Jeez.
that's why it's only
It
really
sounds a
worth
lot
it
like,
for local councils who do like the biggest iced Vovo.
Yes.
They're going to spend the 15 grand.
And usually that shit is tied into charity or something. Like its proceeds will go to charity or whatever. So Guinness are going to give them that.
Yeah.
We didn't have that option.
We didn't have charity. This was purely selfish gain.
We got turned down. So yeah, we dive deep into the Guinness Book of Records for this season and try to get to the bottom of why someone would fake it, what they would gain out of it, and why they would go to such lengths to hide the truth for 30 years.
And it's also probably the only record in filmmaking, in like movie making, that you could fake. Because all the rest are like, oh, who's got the most kills in the movie, and like stuff like that. But this is like a really weird niche one.
Yeah.
And so we like travel the entire world while being in completely lockdown in Sydney.
We should talk about that too. We produced this during, I don't want to say, but an unnamed pandemic.
Yeah,
that's
something
going on.
really crazy was happening at this time.
Yeah.
Really crazy
Please don't
stuff.
say it because we might get flagged
Yeah.
for misinformation if you say those words
I'm not
of
gonna
this,
say it.
of
It
this
was
thing that might not even be true.
Yeah, well, exactly. Exactly. That's
It
what
was
I'm
a
not going to say.
creative project made during the pangolin's wrath.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I believe a curse came out from a pangolin that was eaten as a sacrifice, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I've only read about it extensively, so I don't know.
I've only read about it.
So we did produce this during lockdown conditions
Yeah.
in a shipping container
Yes.
in Marrickville underneath the flight path.
Because we were not allowed into the ABC, so our only option was to use a shipping container in Marrickville underneath the flight path.
That's
Did that cause recording issues?
Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of
absolutely.
motorbikes riding around those corners, so we had to like cut out of the podcast.
A lot of industry,
planes, a lot of
a lot of
FedEx
planes.
parcels
Yeah.
getting sent to Sydney.
Yeah.
But as the pandemic wore on, I'm guessing less planes. So
But that made us sad, so that
Yeah.
dipped our energy.
I mean, we live in the inner west, so we love those planes. They calm us down, and I'm getting frustrated all day long. I'm like, where's my plane?
Yeah.
Where's that beautiful low hum as it
it's
flies
like-
down Damascus?
it's like in one of those kind of Atlantic northeast towns in America where you kind of the bell goes midday. When it's
Yeah.
lunchtime, you kind of have the plane on
Oh,
the
the
hour,
12:15's in from Brisbane.
Yeah.
Okay.
the
Time
flyover
for lunch.
states in the US is Minnesota. In here, it's Marrickville and Sydenham.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, it was produced under very difficult conditions, but we're hopefully you can't tell that when you listen to it.
Yeah, we worked extensively for it to be hidden that we made this in a freaking bin.
We did.
We made the podcast in a bin
In a
over
bin.
several months.
Yeah.
So this one's coming out through the ABC as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So what
ABC
did-
produced.
So what did the fucking ABC do?
Well, that's a
whole
great
thing,
question.
yeah.
That's a great
Yeah,
question.
they gave us our dear friend Bryce, who was producing
They gave
it.
us a producer and they gave us
Nice.
some microphones, not too dissimilar to these
Yeah,
ones.
very similar actually.
Well,
And then they gave us the permission to record it in a bin.
Yeah, and the permission to release it via
We
their
didn't even
podcast
have.
app.
I don't want to shit too much on it, but I will say we didn't even have internet access in the shipping container we were working in.
We were tethered off our
from our
phones.
phones the
Old
whole
school.
time.
And we had
Yeah.
an incredible interview that we had to do with someone all the way in Spain. And we had to do it late at night. And we had no internet access to it. So we had to use our producer's phone, who had only 59 minutes of international calls. So we had to try and keep it very tight and hang it up just before.
Yeah, he couldn't even call his family overseas that month because we used up all his minutes.
And they were
his
in Spain.
Lebara card.
It's rough. It was a rough
It was
start.
rough.
But the unnamed pandemic has affected us all. And it's probably affected you guys here in Batuta. I
Yeah.
don't know. What, are you guys doing okay? You surviving?
We
Yeah,
haven't had a
everything's
community
alright.
transmission for 200 days.
That's
Wow.
awesome. So are people
Yeah.
still hugging and stuff? Or
Yeah.
yeah.
Still
Yeah.
They're
pashing.
big huggers
Passion.
around here.
Yeah.
Big pastures around
Yeah.
here.
They
big.
are, yeah.
Big, it's very
Well,
European.
there is
Eu-
a
Very
big
European.
European influence in this town, So there is, of course, the double kiss that the French do down in the
Yeah.
French Quarter, and then there's the. Then
But
there's
they're double
other ways
French
of saying-
kisses.
Yeah.
Which
know
is
that.
crazy.
Yeah, one in the front, one in the back.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize you had a French Quarter.
Yeah, no, they
It's
came.
hard to miss.
They came via French Polynesia, actually, which was an interesting migration route. But it
Wow.
was the early days of the 457 visa program, so
Wow.
we needed some unskilled Pacific slaves to pick the fruit out here, and as you know, that's been happening since the start of Federation and continues to happen today. They just had
and
a couple.
Still to
I don't
this
know about
day,
that.
they do speak the Batutanese Creole down there, the French Quarter, which is basically like if you can imagine what Campbell Newman would sound like if he was just reading a French textbook
Yeah.
verbatim.
It's an accent you don't hear very often, but it is distinctive.
Yeah,
Yes,
you will
you
never
know,
forget
like,
it.
and you say it's like, say, if they were to ask you what you said, they would say, "Qu'est-ce que c'est?"
Yeah,
There you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
So that's,
It's quite
that's
beautiful.
Kind of sounds
pretty
like
textbooks.
sounds like Afrikaans if Afrikaans was in a French accent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot
Where-
less.
And La Molly.
Yeah.
Kind of like the water boy,
Ooh,
I
that's
guess.
lekker.
Yeah, it sounds like the movie The Waterboy.
Yes.
To bring it back to film and stuff.
is,
over
yeah.
here.
Waterboy.
Yeah.
One of the great films.
One of the greats.
Yeah.
Okay, now that we're back on the film nerd shit, Finding Desperado coming out.
October 30.
October 30, the spookiest day of the entire year.
So, how'd you come up with this name? I mean, that should give away a little bit of what this record is.
Well, a bit of this podcast is set in Spain, quite a bit, and Ibiza. and Desperado is a word that means outlaw on the run.
Oh,
And
I
that
thought
is
it was just that Eagles song.
yeah. Also, that was a big influence.
Big
on
influence
us
on
as
us.
well.
We listened to it every day before we
Yeah.
started.
Yeah, and we watched the Robert Rodriguez film
Yes.
Desperado, starring Antonio Banderas.
Was that
Starring Selma Hayek.
Was that the guitar that turns into a machine gun?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Incredible film.
And it's
Yeah.
incredible. He can fling bullets around corners in that movie, and we're like, we
Yeah.
got to make our podcast feel like that. We're gonna make this feel like a bullet sliding around a corner to hit you.
Yeah, so there's a Spanish influence this time around, whereas last time Rocky, the Soviet, and America were our big touchstones.
Yeah.
This time around, we've got Spain, Europe, and I'd say the movie Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah,
Yep.
Silence of the Lambs and Talented Mr. Ripley were
They're
like
our
our
two
big
big
like kind
touchstones.
of like stylistic storytelling influences this time.
Yeah.
So the food's much better. You know, you've
Oh,
got,
my
you know,
God.
some tapas.
Yeah,
yeah,
tapas, fava beans, if
Do you guys
will.
have that here? Tapas?
Tapath.
Tapas?
Yeah. Yeah, we do. It's
In the Latin Quarter.
Yeah.
no, you know,
for Carnival.
every town out here has a tapas restaurant.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
the old Chinese restaurants of Red Fortune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone in Western Queensland
Now
has
they've got
Spanish.
mochila.
My favourite, because I've been on this show before and I talked about being from Newcastle. My favourite.
Where the two guys killed each other inside
yeah.
the kiosk.
Yeah, exactly. The kiosk I used to work at. But my favourite type of Chinese restaurant is a restaurant that's just called Chinese restaurant.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
That's my favourite type. And you get a few of them in Newcastle. In every
Chinese.
suburb. Just
I
called
like
Chinese.
Asian.
Oh, that's
Just casting a real wide net.
Yeah, that's
like
good.
Asian
You
food.
can get a green chicken curry and a lemon chicken as well,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is nice.
And a satay pasta.
Oh, yum. You guys got to try the Mongolian beef pizza. It's beautiful.
Ooh-wee. Fusion food. So with the film stuff, just what is your favourite films?
Oh,
I have to ask you guys because you're obviously the biggest film nerds we've ever had on here.
Yes, jeez. We love movies. We actually love every single movie, so it's so hard to whittle it down from probably 10,000 down to one.
Yeah, but I'm going to, because we're Australian and this is an Australian show,
Yes.
I'm going to say probably the movie Rams starring Michael Caton and who else?
Michael Caton and Sam Neill. It is a wonderful picture in cinemas.
And probably Shane Jacobson's probably in it, I'd
I
say.
reckon Shane Jacobs would probably wrote it. I don't know.
Yeah, he could be in it. And you probably get-
Directed by
It's directed by probably Chris
no,
Stenders.
who's the Ride Like a Girl?
Rachel Griffiths.
Rachel Griffiths
Rachel Griffiths.
in her
Yeah.
second debut.
I reckon you're going to get a producer credit deep in there from Brian Brown. Which
Yes.
is nice. Deep in there.
He was just a supporter of it.
Yeah, Brian Brown, PGA, he probably put in a little bit of money. I haven't
Absolutely.
seen it, but I've seen the poster, and it
it's
looks
gorgeous.
sensational.
The color palette of that poster, good heavens.
Starring a, ethnically ambiguous chick that was on Heartbreak High 20
Yeah,
years
yeah,
ago.
yeah.
Oh, I love
Absolutely.
Ada Nicodemu. I
Ada's
love
in it.
Ada Nicodemu. She's one of my heroes. My actual favorite movie probably is Australian movie of that ilk, which is Looking for Alibrandi. I
Yeah.
reckon I watch it like 6 times a year.
Yeah, you do love
I'm
that.
obsessed with it.
Right. This speaks to your experience growing up.
Absolutely, it's like set in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Everyone looks like my family in it.
Yeah.
It's a moves. I'm gonna cry talking about it now.
You went to an elite private girls' school.
I went to elite private girls' school. I was pressured to become the head girl of my school, and then some tragedies happened to my formal date. I won't say what.
I was the Jacob Coot.
Yeah, you were.
Did you
Yeah.
read the
I
novel?
lost my virginity to you.
And I was really good at winging it at public speaking.
Yeah, you were an incredible speaker.
Did you read the novel?
Yes, I stole the novel from my high school. I stole it, and I got the novel signed by Pia Miranda. And when I was telling her, I was like, "Oh, I love your movie. It actually makes me, when I look at it, it makes me feel like I'm looking at my family photo album." I was like crying, and she's like, "What the hell is wrong? What's wrong with this guy?" And then I got also Melina Marchetta, the author, to sign it as well. So I say I got my Bible signed by Jesus and gods.
Oh my God.
I'm obsessed. It's
That
my
is
favorite.
insane.
Yeah, and this was before he discovered Giannopoulos.
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you
That
got your
changed it.
Acropolis Now DVDs signed
Oh
by
yeah, I
those
got my
boys?
leather jacket signed by him and my die cast of his Cadillac.
I actually, when I was in high
Kingswood.
school, I had ran into Tahir and one of the other actors from Pizza.
He was the first comedian I ever saw live.
Oh man, the best! I got them to sign because I loved pizza. I ran into 3 of them in Sydney, and I got them to sign my Echo hat. I had a red Echo hat.
Wow, Mark Echo.
It was a knockoff
Yeah.
I got from Paddy's Markets.
Yeah,
but
you
still,
were into
they
straight
all
up.
signed it, but they all signed it in character from Pizza.
Holy
I
shit.
didn't get their real
Holy-
names on there. So there's like
So you,
Habib and
signed it.
Sleek and Bobo.
Signed it in character.
Yeah, I've still
Wow.
got it at Mum and Dad's. Might start wearing it again.
Yeah, absolutely. You
Yeah.
gotta wear that Bobo.
So that's like
season.
when I look at that red Echo hat, I say I got my Bible signed by God, Jesus, and
John-
Joseph.
Yeah, John the Baptist. They all signed it.
Judas.
Yeah.
Was that Jabba?
I reckon yeah,
Yes,
Jabba is Judas.
Jabba, dude.
Jabba's for sure Judas. Oh, good lord.
So that's your favourite film, Fat Pizza and...
Versus
Versus
Houses.
Houses.
Yeah.
And Looking for Alan Bundy, the 2 greatest works of Australian art.
Yeah.
Fat Pizza versus Houses.
Yeah. They're all made within the same 5
I'd
blocks, so
love
it
to
says a
see
lot about the
Fat
inner west.
Pizza versus Alabrandi.
Oh my lord, I'm gonna try and write it this afternoon. I'm gonna try and write it full length, dude, in an afternoon.
The best is the intro song to Houses.
Oh, yeah.
Houses, houses, houses.
Oh.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I prefer chicks. Oh yeah.
Keep going.
Oh, what are these like fully sick? Fuck yeah, Bobby. I can't know how it goes. The next part. So, but it used to be my ringtone for a few years. So,
Guys, it's been great. Look forward to finding Desperado.
Yeah. How do people find it?
Anywhere they get podcasts. So wherever they listen to this, probably it's on
Yeah.
the same app. I'd
it's on
say.
the ABC Listen app, Apple Podcasts.
Yep.
Spotify.
No, I think that's the one place it's not on.
It's not allowed.
Apparently,
ABC doesn't allow
ABC
it.
won't have they have no deal with Spotify.
All right.
But you can find it on the website for ABC. So if you go on the ABC website,
Go
you
on
can listen to it on a streaming website.
abc.net.au and then search. There'll be a search bar.
So search bar somewhere within there.
Yeah.
So then you just type it in.
Get distracted by looking at the news page.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a
you-
lot of news. It actually doesn't stop, they say.
It's all.
You'll probably come
It's
across
all-
Charlie Pickering's face somewhere on that website and
Yeah.
get distracted.
Click past it.
His,
Try to
his
avoid
ultimate takedown of Trump. You know, like Trump's
Oh,
not going to win
yeah,
the election
yeah.
after this. But just lastly, to the listeners, you need to run up these numbers and help these boys shift some units so that next time the ABC might pay $2,000 for fast tracking of the Olympic
Yeah, we're trying to get
Guinness
Guinness.
World Record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're trying to get most units shifted on a podcast. That's our
Yeah.
record we're
Yeah.
trying to break.
We
Okay.
either want $2,000 to join the Guinness World Records or just even access to a studio next time would be
Yeah.
nice.
And
Yeah.
or we could just split it
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
try and remake a new season of Fat Pizza.
They're still
for
around.
having us in
They're
Batuta,
still
guys.
around.
Thank you, Cam. Thanks, Lexi.
My
Thank you for
pleasure.
joining us.
Coming all the way up here and breaking the law.
Yeah, we got to smuggle this guy back over the border now.
Give me my spindle. Get me in the spindle.
A cab.